Welcome to our new GrowStrong program, empowering grape growers in South Australia. I'm Lisa Bennier, the Chief Executive Officer of the Wine Grape Council of South Australia. We've recently received some funding through the Future Drought Fund to deliver a program out to 3 pilot regions, Langhorne Creek, the Riverland and Limestone Coast. These pilot regions will have an opportunity for 20 growers in each region to take on this program, which will be with project partners, the University of Adelaide, Australian Wine Research Institute, Rural Business Support and the FABS Mentors. This program is supported by the Wine Grape Council of South Australia through funding from the Australian Government's Future Drought Fund and the Government of South Australia. I'm about to have a chat with our delivery partners now. Hi Armando, hi Chris, welcome to our chat. Tell us about who you both are and where you fit into this.
Okay, so Armando and I are from the Adelaide Business School, which is one of the schools within the University of Adelaide. A bit of quick background for the University of Adelaide. It's one of the 3rd oldest universities in Australia. It's part of the prestigious group of 8 universities, and it's recognised as being in the top 1% of universities around the world. But I suppose what's of relevance for this program that we're talking about in this podcast is the Adelaide Business School and its unique features. And so what we're particularly known for is really our wine business programs, our focus on family businesses through the Family Business Education Research Group, and also our excellence in the area of entrepreneurship education. We're recognised as number 1 in entrepreneurship education, and we have these what we call think labs, which are incubators, really helping to establish and grow new businesses.
What's an entrepreneurship education? Can you go into a bit more on that?
Yeah, so we actually believe that it's really important to actually equip individuals with the skill sets to actually reframe problems and identify opportunities to actually create new futures.
And so my role particularly, I'm the director of the Wine Business Group. So I think when you think about wine in Australia in terms of education, surely University of Adelaide, without sounding too cocky, but I think you would think University of Adelaide. We are the only university in Australia and one of 2 in the world that when it comes to wine, we have everything under the same umbrella, which is not the case of places like Bordeaux or Dijon, which, obviously great places, but you have more the viticulture and enology section in one institution and you have the wine business component in another institution. We have, as I said, we have everything under one umbrella. And I think this is very important for us because it means that when it comes to tackling the problems that the industry has, our sector has, we can provide this supply chain approach to problems. So my colleagues in the School of Agriculture, Food and Wine, of course, they are world-leading experts on everything that has to do with growing grapes, making wine. Then me and my team, that we sit in the Adelaide Business School, we deal with everything that has to do with the business of wine. We've been having a program that is structured in a series of different sort of tiers of education since 1977. Even much before us, the viticulture enology, the first degree that was offered by the University of Adelaide was 1936. So we've been training and forming generation of wine business professionals in Australia and overseas for over 40 years now.
Very long time.
Yes.
And the family business side, Chris, if you can chat a little bit about that.
Yeah.
So a lot of our grower members that we're hoping to bring to this program are going to be generational. They're going to be generational farmers, up to 3, potentially 4 generations on farm still. Can you talk a little bit about the family business side?
Yes. So this sounds a bit like confession time, right? So prior to joining academia, I worked as an accountant. I'm actually a chartered accountant.
Right.
And so it was actually through working in practice that I actually realised that a lot of things I learned at university about families who work together in business, we just weren't taught. And so since joining academia was back in 2007, that's been one of the main things I've been actually doing is introducing family business curriculum into our undergraduate and postgraduate programs so that our graduates have an understanding about family businesses, which represent around about 70% of all businesses here in Australia. And from our research that we've actually done, we've actually highlighted the fact that it's family issues not business issues, can have equal or greater impact on how the business performs. And so consequently, we've had a real focus on a successful family working together in business. It's as much about working on family and building family capability and their communication and planning for the future as it is about the business. And so that you'll see this featuring in this program that we're going to be developing. And one is really about that succession planning piece. So we know that despite its importance, many families who work together in business don't necessarily have a documented succession plan. But we do it's so important to have that conversation with families, start planning for the future in terms of what's going to be the family's future involvement in the business and how can they actually plan for that and actually put good structures in place to actually make that a success. So that family in business is a powerful advantage, which in many cases can be.
I couldn't agree more that it's something that's not discussed. And I'm just wondering, question out of notice sort of thing, but what's your take on that? Like, why do you think families, particularly in agriculture, so I know grape growing is a big part of it, but agriculture in general, don't want to approach these things? Is it that we all think that we're, never going to die, or that we just know, my way's the better way and we're going to stick with the way I'm doing things? Or what do you think the barrier is there?
There's probably several at play. So one is the fact that, particularly when you're talking about agribusinesses, to actually make a successful business, it tends to be asset rich relative to the income that it actually generates. And therefore, it actually does have an influence on how many family members it actually can support going forward. And so unless you're actually going to grow significantly in terms of the number of family members that it can support going forward, it's going to be limited. So sometimes it can be a really tough, or it's a tough discussion to actually have if you've got more than one child and actually trying to think about how that's going to work out. So if there's one that's obvious who is well placed and got the passion, interest, and the abilities to sort of take over that leadership role, what does it mean for the other family members, and how are they going to be looked after as well if they don't have the opportunity to do that? And so sometimes there's some difficult conversations to be had, right? And so I think there's a natural tendency to put off those kind of conversations. But in a sense, it's just kicking the can down the road. It's going to have to be worked through at some point in time. But I think the other two is, when we talk about the incumbent, so it's really it's the owner that's currently operating the business. It's partly psychological as why it's so difficult to engage in succession planning, because some have this view of what we call a monarch succession plan, which you rule until you die. So basically your succession plan is out through the coffin, you know. But the other is that the whole thing about being in business and starting and growing a successful business is really it's the non-economic benefits, just the sense of identity, pride,
the intangibles.
the intangibles.
Lifestyle,
Absolutely.
Community, all those things. So,
a key part of succession planning is it's not about letting go. It's actually thinking about what are you retiring to, right? And so retirement tends to be a dirty word, because you think about my productive value is declining, but no. It's actually trying to help those incumbents envisage, what their skill sets are and what those opportunities are going forward that they can actually be transitioning to, so that they can still have that next stage of life, a real productive and personally fulfilling, while at the same time setting up that next gen for success as well.
And that leads nicely into the program.
Does.
So, so the uni is going to come out to region to deliver your portion of the GrowStrong program. So the 3 regions over 4 days.
Yes.
Right.
And we think that we're doing that one a week at this stage, but yes, that's certainly the first one that's kicking off in Langhorne Creek.
Yeah.
And so the subjects, what sort of things are you going to be talking about and bringing out to the participants of this course?
Yeah. So we have 8 masterclasses. So the idea will be we will deliver 2 masterclasses each day, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, sort of 9 to 12 and then 1 to 4. The content is something that we discussed obviously with Wine Grape Council of SA, but also I think bringing a bit of our experience into dealing with both families, particularly families in the agribusiness sector and in the wine business sector. that somehow can put together the key knowledge that is necessary to have those conversation and to think about what could be the next stage of life for a series of family business. So we're going to start with a masterclass around risk management and crisis and scenario planning. So again, to make sure that whatever happens, there is a plan in place. And then we're going to continue in the afternoon with a session around financial literacy, which sometimes can be always a bit dry, but with our facilitator, I'm pretty confident that will not be. And I think there is a lot that can be taken out of that. The following Tuesday, we will be talking more around the issues of law and sort of what are the legal requirements, because again, you want to make sure that your gate is prepared before the cattle, I guess, escapes. So trade law and what are the regulations that we need to think about. And will be followed actually by Chris looking actually in section around succession planning.
Which is really the what, why, and how, which is really what we mean by succession planning, because it's actually just not one plan. It's actually a series of interrelated plans. Yes. And we talk about that and give you a bit of an overview of the stats. Talk about the why, the case for developing a documented succession planning, not one that belongs in one's head. It's actually put out there on paper, so that there's part of that communication with the family to be really clear. And the last one is really about how do you start this particular process.
And both those masterclasses seem to work really well together, legal and succession, because to do a succession, I mean, that includes a will, doesn't it? And that includes trusts, and agriculture is full of trusts. And family trusts and things. So that works nicely together, those two as well.
Yeah. And then we're going to continue week 3. We're going to move more into the branding and marketing, the communication, something that I often teach to my students to say, the content needs to be there, but if you package it in a better way, it's going to deliver the message better. And then in the afternoon, we're going to delve more into the issues around technology, artificial intelligence, how a better working smarter instead of harder can help us achieving the results in a faster and better way. And then we're going to finish off the last day. And again, Chris is going to step in together with the small family business commissioner.
The small business commissioner of South Australia.
Yes, which we thought about a session around how to get support. I think we have a lot of support that is available, and sometimes we just miss the knowledge of what support we have and where we can find it. So we're going to map this all out. And last but definitely not least, sort of bringing it all together with a session around mental health and well-being. To run a business in the best possible way, I think as a human being, you need to be the best possible version of yourself. And so this last masterclass will be covering that. An aspect that I really enjoy about the way in which we put together the program is it's going to be very hands-on. So at the end of each masterclass, the participants will get something very practical they can take out, and that can feed into the conversation and the sessions that will be run with rural business support and the FEBS mentors. So for those kitchen table conversations that might happen with, as I said, RBS and the FEBS, there will be something that the plan can be presented from sort of top to bottom and says, look, given all what we've learned, how does that fit into a plan that can get us maybe a new line of loans or mortgage for something else that we want to invest on, for example. And I think the other aspect that I find it interesting is we're really going to focus on the individuals, the participants also sharing their experience with us. So it's not going to be just us talking, but surely that there is that component, but it's really also about the participants sharing their experiences and making sure that we can tailor really the program and the learning to each individual.
It's a great point. If I can add to that.
Yeah, of course.
And so, because some might actually listen to this and think, with the university, is it going to be a bit too academic? And it's like
going to be one of my questions.
So, but if you know Armando and I, in terms of the kind of roles that we play within university, is that we have a very much of a outward focus in the kind of roles that we do play in the Adelaide Business School. Me very engaged with the family business community, and Armando in the wine and grape community, and it's part of our roles, because at the end of the day is that in terms of it's not only about, the teaching and research we do, but it's engagement with industry and learning from industry. So in the kind of things that we research and talk about, actually learning about what's happening in practice and how that actually informs what we do.
Yeah.
And so we see it's a great opportunity for the exchange of information and knowledge and ideas as part of together building something that's actually better. Yeah. And so I think, the other great thing about the program, I like that too, is how you've organised about having rural business support and also the FAB mentors that can be part of the program, because it's getting them to sort of that next step. Yeah. Okay, I've been exposed to this knowledge and some ideas that's got me thinking about, it's that translation piece. Right? And I think they're going to be pivotal to really help do that translation
the practical bits of it.
Yeah.
The participants don't need to worry. The boring bit that goes into academic papers, we'll leave it.
Yeah, good. That's good.
For other avenues, for other outlets.
Maybe if they're having trouble sleeping at night,
exactly.
we can give them one of our academic papers or something.
And even I think the variability in the 3 regions is going to be quite interesting.
Yeah.
Because the family setups in the Riverland are quite different to potentially the family setups in Langhorne Creek.
Yes.
Full disclosure, I live in Langhorne Creek, so I have a bit more familiarity with that town. But, there are lots of generational there as well, different nationalities, in the Riverland, Limestone Coast different again. So I think the whole idea of being able to pivot a little bit in the conversation, learn more knowledge is great. Which brings me to my next question though, which is, so if we are talking about generational farmers here, this program allows for 2 participants per ABN. So, if dad and daughter want to do this program, they can.
Yes.
That's a perfect fit, I think, in my mind. There's no barrier there, is there? With, I think I've got to try and get people to understand a little bit that just if you haven't done university study before, this is not a barrier at all.
No.
Anyone can come, can't they?
Absolutely.
Yeah. We want to use these sessions and facilitate these masterclasses to actually encourage dialogue and shared understanding. So, I think success for us in the masterclasses is if we can actually draw on the experiences that we've got represented in the masterclass. So when we talk about some of these key principles, how that's unfolded or where they're at with regard to their learning journey about implementing those kind of things in their particular business. And so I think it'd be fantastic if you can have 2 generations, if it's a family that's working together in business, or one's working, maybe one's considering joining. It'd be fantastic to actually have that multi-generation, because it's another way of actually starting to help that dialogue between the generations about the different perspectives and maybe expectations and hopes that they might actually have.
And even just ways of doing things. Of course, don't you? They know, like, if you're dad that's 60 and you're on the vineyard and you've been doing it this way because your dad did it that way as well, and you've done a few new things, but then you've got the kids coming up that have come up in a generation of technology, which,
absolutely,
it's completely different.
So particularly the one about the AI, for example.
Yeah, the AI,
So, I've got a 21-year-old son, and so he makes me feel really, really old. Because how quickly they embrace technology and actually do that translation piece for me. So this is how it works, right?
And farmers are all the grape growers I know are quite happy to take on technology when it's about, new tractors that spray better, irrigation probes and all those sorts of things. Maybe not so much about, the accounting packages and things, because that's something they don't know.
Yeah. No, but I think, Lisa, really, for us, success, I would say, in this context, it would really mean seeing those companies and the families that will join into the program, hopefully meet them in 6 months' time, in a year's time, and say, you know what, thanks to the things that we've learned there, now we are in a better position than we were 6 months ago. That would really be all that we would really ask for us as a criteria of success. The mission of the Wine Business Group that we stated is we are here to support the sustainable growth of the wine sector. So that has been our beacon, and what we want to be true to. So. And to your point about what level of academic knowledge, I wouldn't say it's necessary before. That has been our job, to either do our own research or translate the research that we have read through the time that we spend studying and reading into something that is digestible, understandable and in a very practical sense to the participants.
Yeah, and let's hope they all ask lots of questions anyway.
Absolutely.
So that's the other
Fire.
bit, isn't it? So yes, I'm certainly tapping a few young people on the shoulder saying, hey, you should go to this with Dad and
great.
or Mum.
Great
So it's normally Dad, to be honest, that they're saying drag Dad along. So it'd be good. So what do people have to bring to your masterclasses? What do they need to
So what they need to bring will vary according to the masterclass.
Oh, okay.
So, for example, when we've got the one that's on AI, using technology, it's going to be important that participants bring a laptop or a tablet that they can actually use in class, because I think they will be using that as part of some of the exercises they'll be doing to reinforce some of the tools that they can actually use. But really for the other ones, you don't really need to bring anything. We'll be providing pretty much everything for them. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So as in notebooks and notepads, and you're going to give them tools. They have to, bring a pen, I assume.
Correct. Well, we will provide
that as well.
Pen, notebooks is going to be provided.
Okay.
We're going to be providing the lectures, slides, notes. So, if they want to take notes, they can take them directly there. However, of course, if we take it from a sustainability perspective, if they don't want to carry papers with them, we will make the PDF of all the lecture slides, the masterclass slides available online. So again, if they come with their own laptop or tablet, then they can type notes
if they want
directly. If they want directly on those PDFs that we're going to share with them, and that will be made available in a shared folder, so that can stay with them. They can download the material anytime they want to.
Perfect.
And then, as I said, depending on the masterclass, there will be a series of different activities that vary because of the nature of each content that is delivered.
Yeah.
So, and you might be demanding about format too. So the format of the day is really, so it's going to go from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. each day. So for the two master classes, so the first master class of the day will be from 9 to midday, and the second one from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. And there's a morning tea and afternoon tea break during that. The only changes to that would be that the very first day will start at 8:30, and that's when you're going to have the chance to meet the Fabs mentors and also from yourself, really important, Lee,
real business support.
The real business support. And then on the last day, we'll have this sort of network drinks afterwards, or celebration drinks.
We'll certainly be doing that.
Yeah.
And also, I guess I should also add, we'll also be catering, like the Wine Grape Council. So really, when no one has got a reason to not be prepared, they just rock up, get fed, get watered, and be there, and then they can be back on, because agricultural people, they'll like to go and do a bit of work beforehand probably, and a bit of work afterhand probably, but it's really pretty simple. We're making it as easy as we possibly can for them.
Yep.
And you guys are coming out to region, so Langhorne Creek is going to be at the Langhorne Creek Grape and Wine office. We don't know where the others are just yet, but that's the first one kicking off on the 31st of October.
Wonderful.
Yep.
No, great. And it'll be, it's not just Armando and I doing all the masterclasses either. So we've actually got people teed up that actually going to speak to the specific content, isn't it? So I think we already mentioned, so the South Australian Small Business Commissioner, so she'll be coming out on the fourth day to talk about, really helping agribusiness owners navigate the different levels of support, whether it's local government, state government, or federal government, and also talk about some particular programs or initiatives that are targeting their sector.
Yeah.
I think this is maybe, I guess, one of the advantages of being at a university. We definitely don't think that we are know-it-all. So on following on, we are going to talk about the areas that we're expert on. Mine is more on branding, and of course, Chris is on succession planning and family businesses. But we are lucky that being in the business school and part of a broader university, these 8 topics that I mentioned before are delivered by our key experts in each of the areas. So we really bring in the best to teach the best possible content.
And you'll pick up some information too, probably from the participants.
Absolutely.
Because they'll have all different ideas about things that are and aren't working for them at the moment too, I'm sure.
Yes.
And here's the importance of the way we run it too, which is really facilitating the sessions, using opportunities for Q&A and that kind of thing because of those regional differences too. So it's actually important to explore how some of the principles we're talking about play out in the regions differently, and the particular challenges that they face and ways which they could consider actually addressing them and overcoming them.
Yes.
So after the program's all done, the participants will they receive some sort of certificate or acknowledgement that they've done this? Yep.
Yes.
And then for those that are really keen to keep studying,
yes,
what opportunities does the uni offer after after this if they think, oh, that was kind of really something I wouldn't mind expanding on? Or...
Look, we have several programs that we offer, which are actually are different based on both the length and the nature. So at a university level, we have, when it comes to postgraduate education, we have what we call graduate certificate, graduate diploma, and master.
Maybe can you just explain?
Absolutely.
What's the difference between a postgrad?
Yes, absolutely. So when we talk about undergraduate qualification, that's the first qualification that you do after high school.
Yep.
So that would be generally 3 years, and it gives you a bachelor degree. And then once you finish your bachelor degree, you can enroll into a postgraduate qualification that could be more or less, with just difference, but we could say about 6 months, 1 year, or 1.5 years. So if you study effectively 4 courses, you can get a graduate certificate in something. And then if you study 8 courses, which is equivalent of approximately 1 year, you can get a graduate diploma in the topic. Or if you go to sort of 1.5 or 2 years, you can get a master's degree in that topic. I would say, obviously, there is the whole viticulture, enology, science area. I guess if we're thinking more about the content that we will be delivering, however, which is more into business, we have a series of different programs that people can choose, as I said, at different levels. So whether it's 6 months, 1 year, or 1.5, we have qualifications in project management, qualifications in agribusiness, global food and agricultural businesses, wine business, entrepreneurship, management, marketing, governance, absolutely, policy, international
ESG
trade,
stuff,
absolutely. So it really depends then.
Endless.
It's effectively endless. I think for pretty law, psychology, for whichever I think are the 8 master classes that we're talking about, that could be an avenue that participant can take and transform it potentially in a career in business.
And they could talk to you guys about that afterwards if they've had a particular interest about how to progress with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I might add one thing to that too, is that sometimes there's a misconception about if I want to do a postgraduate program that's really of interest to me, that I do have to go and do an undergraduate degree first, and that's not the case, right? And so in many circumstances, you can gain entry straight into a postgraduate program based upon your experience. And so, a great example would be with our Masters of Business Administration program, is that you can gain entry to that without an undergraduate degree based upon your years of experience in leadership. And that could start off with doing one of our smaller programs within the MBA, which is called a graduate certificate, which just consists of 4 courses.
Yes. I think that's a misconception with people that have never been to university before, that you have to sign up for 4 years and a lot of money, where you can actually go in and try bits and pieces everywhere, can't you? I think that
absolutely,
it's really good.
Do you want to add anything about in terms of the postgraduate programs you offer in wine business?
Look, absolutely. Well, specifically in wine business, our programs follow the same pattern that I was saying before. So it could be 6 months, 1 year, 1.5 year. What I enjoy, we have recently, sort of 2-3 years ago, revised our program. I think really at the moment we are covering all the bases that are necessary to manage a wine business in a successful way. So we start with the first 4 courses are all around the basics, in a sense of marketing for wine business and understanding which are the markets that you need to choose, whether you want to go domestic, international, what the considerations are. There is a big focus nowadays, even more than a few years ago, on direct wine marketing and cellar door management. And because of the strength that we have in entrepreneurship, the 4th course is about developing modern entrepreneurial mindset. Then for the second level, that brings you that graduate diploma, the courses that we offer around wine retailing, wine law, wine branding, and wine tourism. And for those who really want to take it to the next level, the remaining 6 months are about learning about how to do research in wine business and developing your own research project in wine business. So it's really, and with the connection I think we have to the industry, the project that students can work on are very, again, hands-on, very practical. We also add a little bit more of that literature review, that kind of academic flair, but the outcome is also very much practical. Now, look, I think to me an important point that I really want to stress again is we have loved and we're loving the opportunity to be involved in this program because we really see university to be an integral part of the community. We are not just sitting there in a building in Adelaide and we do research and we give away certificates when students pass courses. We love to see universities that are able to sustainably allow the communities, regional and urban, of course, to grow and express themselves at the best of their possibilities. So this is for us the main goal of delivering a program like this one.
Yeah, we couldn't be more happy that your university is coming out to region. We think it's fantastic, and let's hope we can keep it going because it gives people opportunity too. You know, people find it very hard to justify time off farm. So to be able to come out to region and make it easier for them is fantastic. So we thank you for that, and thanks for being involved.
We're looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
We'll make sure there's some good wine.
Exactly.